Elite SDRs own their numbers. The conversion coaching tracker is going to help you do just that. It's going to give you full visibility into the 5 most important metrics of you booking meetings and getting paid. Being an SDR is not easy, but it is simple. What I mean by that is there are only 5 metrics you need to be dialed in on. The 5 things you do to book meetings are laid out right here for you. One is you have to dial. Got to pick up the phone, got to get in touch with prospects, you got to dial. When you dial, you got to get into convos. Your connect rates need to be high. When you talk to people, you got to book meetings with them. And when you book meetings with them, you got to make sure they show up to the meetings. And of the ones that actually show up to the meeting you booked, you got to make sure they're qualified. That's it. 5 things. That's all you're responsible for. Using this tracker, we can keep tabs on each of those 5 metrics, and we can help you understand how to influence those metrics. So you're really looking at these 5 conversion rates. The first one being, am I dialing enough? Not really a conversion rate, but the other 4 are. The other 4 are, when I dial, am I getting into conversations? My dial to convo rate or dial to connect rate. Then my convo to meeting booked rate. When I'm actually talking to the right person, what are the odds I'm booking the meeting? Then your meeting booked to meeting held rate. When I do book a meeting, what's my show rate? What's my held rate? Are these meetings actually happening? Then when the meetings are actually happening, what's my conversion rate to a qualified op? You'll set this up every week. You can choose if you want to do it on a Monday or a Friday, but you need to do it every single week. Bookmark 15, 30 minutes of time to go through this because it's really going to determine your main focus for the week, or if it's a Friday, the following week, and where you need to dig in to hit quota. As you can see, I've got some mock data over here that I put for the week before. We'll step through this week together just as an example, but that is this first cell, just selecting the week that you're in. It'll automatically tell you how many business days are left in the month, which is super helpful because now I know I only have 9 days left to hit quota. These are my business days. Now, the first cell we're filling out, and we're filling out all the white cells, by the way, just to keep it super simple, fill out the white, is what is your monthly S1 goal? When I say S1, I mean qualified opportunities. You'll have different stages within your company, so you don't have to use my definitions, but what I mean here is like, what's your quota? What do you get paid on? I have to book 10 monthly stage 1 qualified meetings to hit quota. Or maybe for you, it's I just have to book 15 meetings every month. They don't have to be qualified. The point is whatever that main quota goal for you is, that's what you put in here. So in this case, I'm going to say 10. I must book 10 qualified meetings a month to hit quota. Now, let's say it's mid-month, it's December, it's a little slow. The question here is, how many qualified meetings have I attained so far? So let's say 4. The next question is, how many meetings booked do I have coming up this month? Now, this is not qualified meetings. These are pending meetings. They haven't happened yet. You just booked the meeting. They're on the calendar. That's what you'll put in this cell over here so that we know how many meetings you have in the future that are waiting to happen. So in this case, let's say I've got 4 meetings waiting to happen. The next thing I fill out is over the last 30 days, rolling 30 days. This is not over the last 1 month, because if we just did the last month, today's December 18th, it would only give me 18 days of data. I want a rolling 30 data set. So over the last 30 days, how many dials have I done? In this case, let's say I say like 1650. Cool. Over the last 30 days, rolling 30 days, how many conversations or connects have I had with like the right person? That's why I call them combos instead of connect. Same word, but how many combos did I have with the right person? Let's say I had, 58. All right, cool. Now, for you to actually get these data points, just ask your manager. Super easy for them to pull for you, or you could easily figure it out as well within Salesforce. If you need any help, just hit us up and we're here to help. But pulling this data should be super simple, and you should be able to bookmark it so that whenever you come in here on a weekly basis to update these numbers, boom, it's right there, easy to find, you're good to go. The next question is, over the last rolling 30 days, how many meetings have I booked? not qualified, just regular meetings have I booked total? Let's say I booked 13. Cool. Over the last 30 days, rolling 30, how many of those meetings actually were held, completed, they showed up? That's the next question here. So out of the 13 I booked, let's say 9 showed up. Okay. Then in the last rolling 30 days, how many qualified meetings have I attained? So this is when they convert, they flip, whatever your company calls it. This is what we're talking about. So let's say out of the 9 that I had happen, let's say 6 actually occurred. 6 converted to qualified ops. There we go. That's it. Now we can walk through this data and I'll kind of break it down for you. So again, your monthly goal is 10. You've got to hit 10 qualified meetings a month to get paid. So far, you have 4. At this point in the week, let's say this was a Monday and you filled it out on Monday, you've got 4. You have 4 pending meetings. They're on the calendar. They haven't happened yet. They're not qualified yet. You have 4 upcoming meetings. So this is using all the math and the numbers, your conversion rates, your show rates, everything to say that, hey, based on where you are today, based on how many business days are left, based on all the math, you need 6 more meetings booked to hit quota this month. Which makes sense. If we look at, right now you have 4 coming up, you need another 6 on top of that. So really kind of 10 total. That 10 total of meetings should get you 6 more meetings within that pool of 10 based on conversion rates. So keep it simple. 6 more meetings is what you need to book for the rest of the month based on this week's data. Moving on. So I've done 1,650 dials over the last 30 days. Of those dials, I've had 58 convos. That gives me my dial to convo rate. Now, to break down the rates real quick, this is where we're going to focus in and coach because there's only 4 rates you need to keep your eyes on. And if you can learn how to manipulate what goes into impacting these rates to improving them, then this is how you become just a machine as an SDR because you know exactly what lever you need to pull to influence the rate. So your first rate is dial to convo rate. Your next rate is convo to meeting booked. So first rate, out of 1,650 dials, I've gotten into 58 connects or convos. That's why that rate is that way. The next one is, out of all the convos I've had over the last 30 days, I've booked 13 meetings, which means my convo to meeting rate is 22%. So that is your second rate, and that's a rate you want to keep an eye on and understand how to influence. The third one is, out of the 13 meetings I booked over the last 30 days, 9 actually showed up. That's your meeting held rate. That's your show rate, completed rate, all of those words. That's at 69%. Then, out of all the meetings that showed up and happened, 6 converted out of the 9. That is my conversion rate from meeting to qualified meeting. These are the 4 metrics that you have to dial in on, and I'll show you what to do with them in a second. Now, you'll also see that we made a very easy view that shows you what last week's data was, just so you can kind of compare. For example, like I can see that, hey, my convo to meeting booked rate here, S0 rate, is 22%. Last week it was 23%. So it's holding steady. Same here. My meeting held rate last week was a little better, 73%. This week, not as strong, but still like somewhat steady, right? So you can just have a very easy visual comparison from the week before. So moving forward, the KPI commit board is going to tell us exactly how many dials you need to make per day to hit your goal before the end of the month. So the only data you're affecting here is your commit goal. But what this stuff is first, this is saying that I need to book 6 more meetings to hit goal. On average, for me to book a meeting, it takes 183 dials. So then it's dividing this number by how many ops you need, how much time you have left in the month to tell you that, hey, based on all the data, you need to be making 125 dials per day to hit goal. Now that's a bit of an oh crap moment And we'll go back to that in a second of like why that is and how to fix that. But now you get to decide like, okay, all the data and the numbers are showing me I need to make 125 dials a day. That's a lot, but I need to commit to something. I'm going to do 100 dials a day. Boom. This commit goal is your promise to yourself that you are going to work hard and take care of what you need to take care of. Now, again, if I was an SDR, I'd be like, all right, cool, I'm doing 126, right? You got to go hard. But that aside, let's say you committed to 100 dials a day. So now that you know these numbers, we can kind of go back and start to understand, okay, this is what I need to do this week to be successful. 100 dials a day. Let's see how it goes. Then next week I'll come back in and see what changes we need to make. But to understand how to actually influence these rates here is on this sheet down here, the RCA checklist. So the RCA checklist stands for Root Cause Analysis Checklist. What this means is within every metric we have, this is what? Dial to convo to meeting booked to meeting held to conversion, meeting converted. Within those 4 rates, we can map out every issue that contributes to them being bad. And then we can focus on something that can help us alleviate that issue and make sure we're improving that rate over time. So what this looks like is back here. The reason I have to make 125 dials to hit quota is because look where your eye goes. Which one is bad? It's this one. It's the one in red. A 4% dial to combo rate is trash. Like a good connect rate is around 10%. 5 to 10% is like accepted. So my connect rate sucks, right? My convo to meeting booked rate, it's not bad. That means like 2 out of every 10 times I talk to someone I'm booking a meeting. It could be way better though, right? Like I would love to see that at a quarter or a third, 25 or 33%. We're not there yet though. And then your meeting held rate. So every time you book a meeting, how likely is it that they're going to show up? 70% is about where you want to be at the floor. And then anything above 70% is good. And then your conversion rate, same thing, 70%. You want to be at a 70% meeting conversion rate. So you can kind of very easily identify like, hey, what do I need to fix here? Because look, if I were to fix my dial to convo rate and if I were to get into more convos, let's say I got into 98 conversations. I'm at 6% now. That's better, right? But with that, I would assume I would be booking more meetings. So let's say this jumped up to 20. And then out of that, let's say this jumped up to 14. And then out of that, let's say this jumped up to 8. So you can see how my dials over here went from 90 all the way, or I'm sorry, went from 125 all the way down to 90 because I now have better conversion data. Now, the other thing that will influence this is obviously how many meetings you've booked, right? So let's say out of these 4 upcoming meetings, let's say 2 happened. So I only have 2 left and 1 of them converted. Boom. Oops, sorry. I meant to do 5. Boom. So now I'm a little closer to goal. And you can see over here that went from 125 dials a day to 122. Let's say I'm even closer to goal. Let's say I'm at 7 and I have 1 meeting coming up. Cool. Now I need 76 dials a day to make sure I hit quota. So you can see how as you input data and as you go through these exercises, you'll very easily be able to understand on a daily basis what you need to be doing to hit quota. And the way to influence these, again, is coming to the RCA checklist. This is not fully built out yet. Still working on it. It's a work in progress, but you can already get started here. Where, for example, let's say I came in here and I set up my data for the week and this is what I got back. These were my conversion buckets. Cool. It's very obvious to me I need to improve my dial to convo rate. That's a given. Must go do that. So go to the RCA checklist and I see, okay, what are all the issues with dial to convo rate? So one factor with dial to convo is what if you're just not dialing enough? You're literally just not making enough dials. Okay, cool. Well, here are the root causes of that. You're either running out of time, running out of leads, or you're lacking discipline. So it's one of those. And then here's some solutions that you can go implement to make sure you improve that rate. In this case, our issue, if we look back here, it's a low dial to connect rate. So what are the root causes of that? Well, maybe it's bad data, right? Maybe the reason you're not connecting is you're calling bad phone numbers, calling bad titles. These aren't people that you can actually sell to or book a meeting with. Poor data. Cool. Here's some solutions. One, let's pre-clean our lead lists, right? Make sure that everyone going into your sequences, you're confident in, you're happy with, and you're not putting junk in there. Or make sure you're calling all available numbers on the lead profile, and make sure you're deleting out bad numbers so that if that lead ends up in a sequence again, you're not calling a bad number again. So that's just 2 ways right there that you can go influence your dial to connect rates if you have poor data. Or something else that affects connect rate. What if you're calling at the wrong time? So you need to make sure that your call blocks are aligning with the highest connect rate hotspots during the day. For example, you don't want to be calling during lunch hour if no one picks up during lunch hour. So having a 12 p.m. call block probably doesn't make sense. Most of your sales engagement platforms, your outreaches, sales lofts, etc., they'll be able to tell you exactly when the highest connect rates are based on your team so that you know when to structure your call blocks. What if you're also calling at the wrong time because you're calling the wrong time zones? So what if you can stack rank, you can filter your call tasks by time zone? That would solve or at least positively influence your low dial to connect rate. So that's how you would use this, where it's a checklist. You want to look at what the issue is. Then you want to see, okay, which root cause do I think I'm running into? And then you want to go implement a solution. As I said, this is not fully built out. We're still making this comprehensive and very detailed, but it's got enough in here that you can get started. Where that leads us is our conversion rate focus. Now, we're always going to do a reflexive look. So this is going to be a little weird for this example as I'm recording now because we don't have data from last week. But what I'm asking you is, what was last week's conversion goal and why did you pick it? All right, I had to update that real quick. So what was your last week's conversion goal? It's going to be simple drop-down menu. Pick what bucket over here were you focused on last week. So let's say I was focused on my dial to convo rate. Cool. Dial to convo rate. Why did I pick it? My connect rates are low right now. I know that if I can improve them, I will likely book more meetings, right? So we want to be critical thinkers here and understand what's happening with the data. What was your plan to improve it? Now, this is going to be based on what you did last week. So let's fast forward then. Let's say that last week we said we were going to do dial to combo rate. The specific step that we are going to take was to pre-clean all of our lead lists, meaning I'm scanning through, making sure the titles look good, making sure everyone has a phone number, yada, yada. So very simple. I can just come over here. My plan to improve it was to pre-clean all of my lead lists. How much did my rate increase or decrease? Well, if I look back here, there was no change actually, right, from last week. So none actually. Okay, what was your hypothesis for the change in rate? This is interesting, right? Now I've got to think critically. I set a plan, a goal, an action item to go influence the rate. I did it, but nothing changed. Why? I need to be smart enough as an SDR to think through these things and go, cool, well, what else can I do to influence this? Hypothesis for the rate, the change in rate. Not entirely sure, but I literally didn't get any answers. So my hypothesis is that I may have better leads in my sequences, but I may be calling at bad times. Maybe my call blocks aren't set up at the right times. So what takeaway do I have from this change in rate? Well, takeaway is pretty obvious here. I need to go look at better times to structure my call blocks so I can get pickups. Cool. So looking at your conversion rates to the left, what conversion rate am I focused on improving this week? I'm going to go after my dial to convo rate again, because until I fix this, none of this gets better. So I might as well focus on this. So the specific step I'm going to take is investigate best times to call via checking outreach data and confirming time and confirming with manager and peers. So in this case, I'm going to go talk to my manager, see if they can help me figure out when the best times to call are, ask my peers, see what they say, and then I'm going to restructure my call blocks accordingly. This should help me increase my connect rate. That's it. That is what you do to learn how to start influencing your data. Now, part of SDR school is I'm going to help you through this stuff. I'm going to give you direct coaching on, hey, here's your raw data. This is your live, real data. Where are you struggling? What bucket? Okay, what's your hypothesis? Do I agree? Do I disagree? What are some solutions we can get into if we look at this? And helping hold you accountable to that. So I will help you learn how to look at data, but the goal is that you totally understand the math of your SDR job to where you know exactly what to do to influence the outcomes. So if you don't want to do 125 dials per day, well, you should probably learn how to increase your connect rate to 7%. You should probably make sure you're booking enough meetings. Enough meetings, right? And that those meetings are actually showing up, and the meetings that are showing up are converting. Well, look, now you only need 69 dials a day to make sure you hit quota. Last thing here is I want you to have full ownership of this, and I want you to use this as a way to really impress your managers. Guys, in all the teams I've led ever as an SDR leader, no other leader was doing this stuff. I set all of this up, and it's not because I'm so amazing and great. It's because when I was coaching, I wanted facts. I wanted data. A lot of people say data-driven coaching, but they don't have data to look at. And I was just amazed at like how simple this is, but also how few companies were doing this. And so if you can go to your manager and you show them this, that you understand the role on this level, that you're making these changes without them asking you to do this stuff, oh my goodness, you're in promotion city right away. If I ever had an SDR come to me in my 5 years of leadership with something like this, without me asking, I would be like, you are going places. So I want to equip you with that. And what this checkbox is you sending your manager your recap of basically all this data. So send them your dial a day commit goal for the week. Hey manager, I'm committed to 100 dials a day. My data says I need 69 to hit quota. So let's be a little more fair here. 70 dials a day is my goal. Now your manager can help hold you accountable, and you're impressing them because you're being proactive about your own goals and your own success. And then you're also going to tell them what your conversion rate focus is and what you're going to do to make sure you improve that, because this is an opportunity for them to coach you and give you feedback. Like, hey, I understand you're focused on when you're calling. From my manager perspective, I actually don't think that's the issue. I think we should go look at this first. So you're inviting your manager into this process to help them coach you. And I would not be surprised if your manager started implementing this across the team. So what you can do is you can give them access to your doc, or you can take screenshots. You can come up with a simple format of an end of week report where you can send all this data over and just make it really easy for you to get clarity on what you need to do next week to improve and to make sure you hit quota. And then 2, being very transparent with your manager about what you're focused on and why. And the culmination of that is going to lead to high performance and success. If you have any questions about how any of this works, let me know. I will say to set this up is very easy. So let's say it was next week. We wanted to come in and do a new week of data. Just insert a row above, hit OK. You'll copy this previous row and you'll paste it in the new row. All the data should translate over. You'll update the week to next week. Boom. This is dynamic, so it's not going to update properly right now. But if we were actually on December 23rd, it would actually update. And then very important, so that you don't lose all this data from before, grab the week before, hit copy, and then you're actually going to paste special values only. What this does is it gets rid of the formulas and keeps all the numbers. Because if I kept all the formulas in, then this would keep changing with time. And we don't want that because we want to look at a frozen snapshot of, hey, the week of December 16th, here were my stats. So again, you're going to come over here, you're going to hit copy, paste special, values only. And then what this does is, like, let's say, week of December 23rd, let's say we now have 8 meetings. We have upcoming stage zeros. Let's say we have 3 meetings upcoming. And by the way, I put this warning on here on purpose so that you don't accidentally delete something. So just do the ignore for 5 minutes or whatever. You should only be editing the white boxes for clarity, but let's go ahead. We'll leave it. So I've got 8 meetings already on the scoreboard. I've got 3 meetings coming up. I really only need to book 1 more meeting this month. Dials over the last 30 days, let's say I hit 1,700. Combos, let's say I had 156. Stage zeros, let's say at this point I'm at 32. How many were held? Let's say 26. That's too high. 23. And then of the 23 that actually happened, let's say 17 of them converted. Cool. So what this is telling me now is I can compare the data from the week before, and I can see, whoa, my connect rate did go up, my dial to combo rate, because I implemented calling at different times, right? So you can see that week over week comparison without all this data being lost. That's why you have to paste the values in. You can see, okay, my combo rate is holding steady, 1% difference. My show rate isn't as good. Well, we're approaching Christmas, right? Kind of makes sense. Maybe people are starting to clock out. But my qualification rate is staying steady at 74, 75%, which is good. So I need 1 more meeting to hit quota. It takes me 74 calls to book a meeting. Based on how many days I have left in the month, minimum dials per day is 5, right? If you think about it, if all I need is 1 more meeting, it's using this number of 9 business days left, which isn't accurate because I can't update this the right way. Let's say realistically, this was like, what would that be? December 23rd to the 31st. Business days though, let's call it 5 business days left. So it's saying I need 8 dials a day because 8 times 5, I'm not good at math. It's close to 74, which means if I did 8 dials a day over a 5-day period, I would book a meeting. Obviously, we're going to do more than 8 dials a day though. So you can say maybe your commit goal is 50 dials a day. Okay. Again, I will help you work through this, but this is how you leverage all of this data here. And I will be building out the checklist more and more, making sure we cover every potential issue, root cause, and provided solutions. And this kind of work is what's going to help you be excellent at the role. So lock in, get familiar, let's freaking go.